Welcome back to the Green Style Creations Chelsea Pants Sew Along. I'm excited to be here today again, and today I'm going to talk you through assembling your pockets. From yesterday's post, you should have the pattern cut out and the fabric cut. So today we're going to be working with your pocket pieces and assembling them and putting them on the back of your pants piece so that we're ready to continue on for the rest of the week and assemble the pants. The next thing that we're going to want to do after we've adjusted for length and cut out our pattern pieces is to mark and assemble our pockets. Now the pockets are optional, so you can decide whether you want to use them or not. If you haven't already, you're going to want to cut out your back pocket piece number 1, cut 2 as a mirror image, and I have those here. And then you're going to want to cut out 2 of the back pocket piece number 2. Also as a mirror image. And then you're going to want to mark the placement of your back pocket on the back pattern piece that you've cut out. So you can use a couple of tools to do this. I'm going to use this white chalk, it's just little clover white chalk, because it's going to show up I think the best on my fabric. I also like to use friction erasable pens because they disappear with heat. So you can use those if that's going to show up. It doesn't really show up on this fabric, but on some fabrics, especially like a denim, these pens are going to be awesome. You just want to make sure that you test your chalk or whatever you're using on a scrap first to make sure that it's going to come off easily. So I like to cut out the piece from the pocket piece from the back pattern and then use that to mark my edges. Okay, so once you've got that marked, you're going to grab the back pocket piece number 2. And you want to make sure that you know which side is which on here. So it goes that way. And the first step is going to be to neaten this upper edge. So I like to do that with my serger. Honestly, if you're using just, a knit fabric, I would definitely neaten it if you were using a stretch denim. But if you're just using a knit fabric, you could skip it. But you're going to neaten that, and then you're going to press it down a 1/2 inch. And I find it helpful on certain fabrics to run a little basting stitch at the 1/2 inch mark so that I know exactly where I need to press it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then show you what that looks like. Now at the same time, you're going to want to take your other pocket piece and you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to neaten the edge of that, and that's this edge with the swoop. So I'm going to be neatening this edge here, and then that same thing, you're going to be turning it down 1/2 inch and pressing it. Now on this one, you're not going to stitch, but after you neaten this and press it down a 1/2 inch, you are going to stitch on here. And you'll see how that comes together in a second. So I'm going to neaten and press and then stitch on this one, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. So I've gone ahead and I've neatened the top edges of all 4 pocket pieces. This one and this one. And then I've sewn a basting stitch. It's kind of hard to see on this fabric, but I've sewn a basting stitch at a 1/2 inch to help me with my fold. And then I went over to the iron and I folded it down. I used lots of steam here. The basting stitch is just a long straight stitch that doesn't back tack. So I used that to help me position. And then with the pocket piece number 2, I went ahead and sewed 2 rows of top stitching. If you're using something like a stretch denim, you may want to lengthen your top stitching to 3 millimeters rather than like a 2.5 millimeter, which is what I usually use to construct my seams. So you're only going to top stitch on the pocket piece number 2, this little pocket piece. You're not going to top stitch yet on the larger pocket piece, because when you put it together, you're going to top stitch, and that's going to actually affix the pockets together, and it's going to then be where you're going to fold down and then sew the pocket to the pant along the edges. Now on the next step, it recommends that you actually sew the pocket to the pants pieces. But I actually think that the best thing to do is to just use Wonder Tape or baste it on so that you can check the pocket placement in the end. Because the pocket placement may, need to come in or out a little bit depending on your specific shape. So I would just recommend basting it or using wash away Wonder Tape rather than permanently sewing them on at this point. But next I'm going to show you how to sew the pockets together and then fold these edges down. Now that you have your pocket piece number 2 all top stitched and your pocket piece number 1 folded over, the next step is going to be to stitch them together. So you're going to want to overlap the pocket piece number 2, and it shows you, it has a guide on the pattern piece for how much you're going to overlap underneath pocket piece number 1. And then you're going to top stitch pocket piece number 1 along this curve. Now I find that wash away Wonder Tape is really helpful here. So I like to run that along the bottom of my pocket piece number 2. If you haven't used wash away Wonder Tape before, it's kind of a miracle worker. It is a wonder tape. It washes away, obviously, with just cool water. But it just helps keep things in place so that you can sew more accurately. So I've got those stuck together. Now I'm going to go with my sewing machine, and I've chosen to do 2 lines. You could just do 1. I'm going to sew my 2 lines across there. I need to do that with my second piece as well. Alright, so now I'm just going to do the same thing to my second pocket piece. I'm going to put my wash away Wonder Tape here along the bottom of the pocket piece number 2. And then I'm going to line it up at 1/2 inch underneath pocket piece number 1. So now you're ready to go ahead and top stitch both of your pocket pieces along that curve. And then after that, we're going to come back and we're going to fold down the other edges so that those are even and nice before we top stitch them or baste them onto our pants. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and I've top stitched along here, and that's attached these 2 pocket pieces together. The next thing you're going to want to do is to fold over your edges to finish these bottom pocket edges. Now, I like to use wash away Wonder Tape here as well. So I'm just going to run it along the edges, and I fold these 2 edges first, then these 2, and then the bottom edge. So I run my tape along that edge, along this side as well. If you do it like that, you're more likely to end up with pockets that look symmetrical. Now I'm doing a single line of top stitching in this example, but if you want it to look more like a pair of jeans, you might want to do 2 lines of top stitching. Just really depends on the look that you're going for. Okay, so now I'm going to do these diagonal edges, again with wash away Wonder Tape. Now some people prefer to cut the pocket pattern piece that is for a size larger than the pants that they're sewing. So for example, I sew an extra small, but I'm cutting a size medium pocket. The size ranges, so it's really medium to extra large, just so that my pocket has a little bit of extra room so that it can hold my phone. So here I am Folding that up last. Okay, so now you have what hopefully looks like a pretty symmetrical pocket. You could press it at this point, and that's probably what I would do normally with a press cloth. Now you're going to take it and line it up on your pants piece where it was indicated. Now at this point you could permanently sew it down, or you could baste it down or use something like Wash Away Wonder Tape. I prefer to baste it to my back pants piece because that way I can move it around after my pants are assembled and make sure that it's in place that's most flattering to my body. Another option that the pattern gives you when you're pressing your pocket is to use a cardboard template. So if you were going to do that, you would take that piece that you cut out of the back of the pattern and cut it out of cardboard, and then use that as a pressing template to press your edges. So that's another option if you're having trouble getting your edges to look nice and crisp. You can also always substitute in another pocket shape if you want to. This one's really cute, but if you wanted something, a different look, you could substitute in another shape. And I did that on one of my pairs to make them look a little bit more like a jegging when I did my skinny hack. So those are the pockets. We're all done for today once you've basted this on or sewn it on if you're confident in its location. And we'll be back tomorrow to assemble more of the pants.